The galaxy had grown used to noise. Every race, every empire, every system buzzed with constant chatter, transmissions, trade routes, and political arguments that echoed through the stars. It was a galaxy that never slept, a network of voices overlapping in endless conversation. Yet amid that endless noise there was one planet that never answered back: Earth. For more than 2 centuries, the alien coalition had tried to make contact with the small blue world on the edge of a quiet arm of the Milky Way. They had sent probes, peaceful messages, even holographic envoys carrying offers of friendship and knowledge. Not once had humanity replied. No words, no signal, just silence. At first, the galaxy thought nothing of it. Humans were primitive, they said, harmless. They had barely stepped beyond their moon when the coalition was already colonizing galaxies. Some races joked that Earth was a planet of ghosts. Others said it was cursed. But over time, something about that silence began to unsettle even the bravest explorers. The first disappearance happened quietly. A scout vessel from the Yareth Consortium entered Sol System to study the asteroid belt. It never came back. Weeks later, a salvage drone picked up its black box drifting near Jupiter's orbit. When the file was opened at Coalition Command, the entire room fell silent. Only 5 words were recorded before the signal cut out. Do not speak to them. No one understood it. There was no sound of weapons fire, no indication of an attack. Just that eerie, calm voice, human, unmistakably human, warning them away. The Coalition dismissed it at first, claiming it was a malfunction, a trick of radiation or interference. But then another ship disappeared, and another, and another. Within months, 17 vessels had vanished in or near Sol space. Some were scouts, some were military, some were simple research ships. None returned. Each time, the only trace left behind was static. No debris, no signals, no distress calls. Just nothing. Rumors began to spread across the galaxy. The quiet ones were not harmless. They were watching, waiting. Now, as fear spread through the Coalition worlds, a meeting was called in the Great Hall of Vera Prime, home of the Coalition Council. Holographic figures representing 100 species shimmered above the council floor, their voices overlapping in panic. "The humans must be hiding something," hissed a reptilian delegate. "Impossible," barked another. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." A third voice, older and quieter, spoke from the shadows. Then explained the silence. No signals, no wreckage, just nothing. At the center of the chaos stood Admiral Threx of the Van Dominion, tall, silver-skinned, with 4 eyes that saw far beyond the visible spectrum. He was known as one of the galaxy's most fearless commanders, a strategist who never backed down. But even he could feel something wrong in this situation. "We are acting out of fear," Threx declared, his voice echoing through the hall. "We are the greatest alliance the galaxy has ever seen, and yet we tremble before a species that refuses to answer us." He leaned forward, glaring at the council members. "I will go to Sol myself. We will find out what they're hiding, and we will show the quiet ones that the galaxy does not bow to ghosts." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The military expedition, a direct approach toward Earth. Some called it brave, others called it suicide. Still, within a week, Threx's fleet was ready. 100 warships assembled near the edge of known space, their hulls gleaming with plasma light. They called it Operation Dawnlight, a simple mission. Enter Sol, scan Earth, demand communication, and report back. As the ships aligned for the jump, Threx stood on the command deck of his flagship, Van's Glory. His second-in-command, Captain Urel, approached with a nervous expression. "Sir," she said softly, "our long-range sensors show interference around Sol. It's like the entire system is wrapped in a field of static. No readings, no energy signatures. It's unnatural." Threx frowned. "A defense grid. Unlikely. No known energy pattern matches it." He stared at the swirling data hologram before him, the Sol system covered in layers of unreadable distortion. "Whatever they're hiding, we'll see it soon." The countdown began. The fleet engines roared to life. In a burst of blue light, the armada vanished into warp. When they reappeared moments later, the stars around them shimmered, and a single sun burned bright in the distance, Sol. The fleet emerged near the edge of Neptune's orbit. At first, everything seemed calm, too calm. "Scan the system," Threx ordered. "Scanning." Sir, there's interference. Every frequency's being jammed. By what? We don't know. Threx narrowed his eyes. The sensor screen flickered, showing faint outlines of planetary bodies. Neptune, Uranus, Saturn. But the rest of the system was blurred, as if hidden behind fog. Can we see Earth? No, sir. Something's blocking our view beyond Mars. Threx turned to the viewing window. The stars twinkled like distant fires. They want us blind, he muttered. Hours passed. The fleet advanced slowly, scanning, probing, searching for any sign of hostility. But space remained empty, silent. Then, without warning, the communication system flickered. A faint signal appeared, an unknown channel carrying a single repeating sound. Threx ordered it patched through. The bridge filled with soft static, like whispers at the edge of hearing. Then came a voice, calm, human. We see you. Every officer on the bridge froze. The voice continued. You were warned. Leave now. Threx clenched his jaw. Identify yourself, he barked. This is Admiral Threx of the Varn Dominion. We come under authority of the Galactic Coalition. We demand... The signal cut out. Then in the darkness of space, one of the ships at the rear of the fleet suddenly vanished from sensors. No explosion, no trace. 1 second it was there, the next gone. Contact lost with Spearwind, shouted an officer. How? No debris, no life signs. It's just... gone. One by one, smaller ships began flickering out, disappearing from the fleet's readings as though being erased from existence. Panic spread through the command channels. Shields up! Threx roared. All ships hold formation. But there was nothing to fight. No enemy signatures, no incoming fire. Just the endless silence of space, and the faint hum of something vast moving beyond their scanners. The crew looked to their admiral for answers. Threx stood tall, eyes fixed on the dark void ahead. Somewhere out there he knew something was watching them, studying them. He took a deep breath. Set course for Mars, he said coldly. We'll find them. As the fleet began to move far behind the clouds of Jupiter, a pair of metallic eyes opened, cold and human. A whisper echoed across the darkness. They never learn. And while Admiral Threx pushed forward, confident in his mission, deep beneath Earth's surface, hidden in the shadows of an ancient bunker, a single human technician watched his fleet's progress in silence. Contact established, she murmured. They've crossed the line. A voice replied from the darkness, calm, deep, and unmistakably human. Then it begins. And at that moment, humanity, silent for centuries, began to listen. The Coalition had lost more than a dozen ships in Sol space, but Admiral Threx refused to retreat. He claimed those disappearances were anomalies, not proof of danger. The Council, desperate to calm growing fear, agreed to send a diplomatic vessel under Threx's protection, the Unity Dawn. Its mission was simple: make peaceful contact with Earth, show the humans that the galaxy came in peace. But everyone aboard knew the truth. They were there to test how dangerous the Quiet Ones really were. The Unity Dawn was the Coalition's pride. 12 alien races crewed its shining halls, each chosen for diplomacy and intelligence. Ambassador Kiral of the Virans led the team, a soft-spoken being of crystalline skin and glowing eyes. His voice was calm, though his heart trembled. Humans have ignored us for centuries, he told his staff as the ship entered Sol system. But silence is not always weakness. The fleet moved cautiously. Every ship's sensor array scanned the dark, but there was nothing. No radio signals, no satellites, not even debris. It was as if Earth had erased its own presence from space. Where are their stations? Asked a nervous pilot. Their orbit should be filled with them. No one had an answer. The Unity Dawn glided toward the inner system, its silver hull reflecting sunlight from distant Jupiter. The crew stared at the blue planet ahead. Earth, quiet and beautiful. Oceans shimmered like liquid glass. Clouds swirled peacefully. There were no defense grids, no visible energy fields, nothing that suggested a threat. Perhaps they are primitive after all, one officer whispered. But before anyone could reply, the ship's lights flickered. The navigation system glitched, displaying false coordinates. The communication deck went dead for 2 seconds, then came back online carrying an echo. Bridge to comms, the captain barked. What was that? Unknown interference, replied the comms officer. It came from somewhere near the moon. The moon? Yes, sir. It's reflecting our signal. The captain frowned. Reflecting? That's impossible unless... He never finished the sentence. Every screen on the ship turned black. Then in the darkness a symbol appeared, an ancient Earth emblem, a single stylized eye. Static filled the air. Then a voice came through, calm and unmistakably human. You weren't invited. The bridge froze. The words carried no emotion, no hostility, just certainty. Identify yourself, Kiral said quickly, his voice trembling. Every light on the ship went out. Darkness swallowed the crew. A low vibration hummed through the hull, like the sound of distant thunder. Outside, the stars seemed to fade, replaced by a shifting wall of static energy that wrapped around the fleet. On Varn's glory, Threk shouted for status reports. "What is happening?" "Sir," said a trembling technician, "something is rewriting our navigation systems. Hayes forcing our ships to..." Suddenly, all power returned. The stars blinked back into view. But the coordinates had changed. Their entire fleet was now drifting beyond Pluto's orbit, thrown out of the inner system, as if the universe itself had moved them. "Admiral!" Uriel cried. "We've been relocated by them." Threx's jaw tightened. "Recover position. Prepare to re-enter orbit." But when the fleet tried to move forward again, their drives refused. A final message appeared on every screen, in perfect coalition standard. "Leave Sol, do not return." And then, silence. The crews sat frozen. No more voices, no more interference. The moon returned to lifeless stillness. Back aboard Varn's glory, Admiral Threx glared at the holographic projection of Earth. He had lost ships, control, and his pride, but not his resolve. "They think they can frighten us," he muttered. "They think silence is power." He turned to his officers. "Send a report to the Council. Tell them humanity has technology we do not understand. And tell them..." He paused, his expression hardening. "Tell them I will return with answers." Far away on Earth's surface, deep beneath an abandoned mountain range, rows of glowing monitors tracked every move of the alien fleet. A human officer leaned over a console. "The Admiral will come back," she said quietly. "He's too proud to stop." Her superior nodded, eyes cold. "Then next time," he said, "we'll show them what silence hides." The great hall of Vera Prime shimmered with tension. Holographic delegates from over 100 worlds filled the vast chamber, their voices crashing like waves. Reports from Admiral Threx's expedition had reached them only hours ago. The loss of ships, the strange interference, the warnings written in perfect coalition language. The Council had never faced something like this before. For the first time in centuries, they were afraid. "They moved an entire fleet," shouted one delegate, slamming his clawed hand on the table. "No species has power like that, none." "Perhaps they use wormhole manipulation," another suggested nervously. "That is impossible," replied a third. "It would require energy from an entire star." "And yet," said a quiet voice from the shadows, "they did it." The voice belonged to High Scholar Zarel of the Othari, an old, frail creature with translucent skin and deep black eyes that had seen too many wars. "You call them primitive," he said softly, "but they used our technology against us before we even arrived." A murmur spread through the room. Zarel lifted a hand, projecting an image from the Unity Dawn's recovered data, the symbol of the human eye staring back at them from the void. "You all saw this," he said. "That emblem was found in ancient ruins long before humanity ever built machines. Perhaps it is not us who discovered them. Perhaps it was the other way around." Laughter rippled across the chamber, but it was thin, nervous laughter, the kind that hides fear. Admiral Threx appeared as a massive hologram in the center of the room, his expression hard. "With respect, Scholar Zarel, I deal in facts, not myths. What I saw was a defensive measure. Powerful, yes, but technology can be replicated. If we show strength, they will yield." "Yield?" Zarel's eyes glimmered. "Or destroy you as they destroyed your fleet's sensors." Threx ignored the jab. "We must send another mission," he said firmly. "A larger fleet with full military support. We will uncover the source of their power and bring it back to the coalition." The council erupted in chaos. Some shouted support, others warned of disaster. One elder delegate, her body a shimmering form of liquid silver, rose from her seat. "You are suggesting war with an unknown force." "The humans did not attack." "They warned you, and you ignored it." Threx's four eyes burned. They humiliated us. If we allow this insult to stand, every pirate, every rival empire will see weakness in the coalition. Zarel sighed. And if you provoke them again, Admiral, you might not have a coalition left to defend. The chamber's lights dimmed as the council leader, Chancellor Orlen, raised his staff for silence. Enough, he said, his voice echoing through the air. There will be no war yet, but we cannot ignore this threat. He turned toward Threx. Admiral, your next move will be observation only. No engagement, no communication attempts. We must learn before we act. Threx bowed stiffly, but anger simmered beneath his calm exterior. He did not like to be ordered to watch while others hid behind politics. As you wish, Chancellor, he said. But I warn you, silence is not safety. When the meeting ended, the delegates dispersed, whispering among themselves. Rumors spread faster than light. Every tavern, every news broadcast in the galaxy carried the same story. The Quiet Ones had awoken. The humans had power, and they were not to be provoked. Meanwhile, deep within the Coalition's intelligence branch, encrypted data from Threx's black box was being analyzed. Strange energy readings were detected during the encounter, frequencies that didn't match any known element. They seemed alive. One technician muttered, "It's like their planet is aware of us." The room fell silent. Back on Earth, thousands of kilometers beneath the surface, the human council gathered in a steel-walled chamber lit by cold blue light. They called it the Core. Around a circular table sat 5 figures, leaders of the defense network, the last guardians of Earth's secret. "They're getting closer," said one, tapping through streams of alien transmissions on a holographic display. "Threx won't stop. The Coalition's pride won't let them." "They'll test us again," another replied. "They always do." A third leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Activate the Echo Protocol. If they cross the line again, we respond." The oldest among them, a woman with iron-gray hair, shook her head slowly. "Not yet." "Thavow stands." The room fell into silence as the AI Sentinel flickered to life on the main screen, a smooth, faceless projection of shifting light. Its voice was calm, emotionless, yet filled with something ancient. "The aliens question our silence again," it said. "Should I remind them why we never speak first?" The gray-haired woman stared at the projection. Her voice was quiet but firm. "No, not unless they attack." The AI's light pulsed slowly, almost like breathing. "They will not understand silence forever." "Then they'll learn the hard way," the woman said. The AI fell quiet, its glow fading into the dark. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the soft hum of hidden machines filled the air. Above them, Earth spun silently in space, blue, beautiful, unreadable. In orbit, fragments of the lost Coalition ships drifted unnoticed, their remains erased by systems too advanced to comprehend. And far across the stars, Admiral Threx prepared his next mission, one that would defy the Council's orders entirely. He stood alone in his quarters aboard Varn's Glory, staring out at the stars. The voice of the human transmission still echoed in his mind. "You weren't invited." He clenched his fists. "We'll see who's invited when I bring your secrets to light." Meanwhile, in a forgotten archive on Vera Prime, Scholar Zarel studied the ancient ruins again, carvings older than any recorded civilization. In one of them, etched deep into the stone, was a phrase written in a language long lost to time. He translated it aloud, his voice trembling. "The first war began when humanity spoke." He stared at the words, realization dawning like a cold sunrise. "By the stars," he whispered. "That's why they're silent." But by then, Threx's fleet was already moving again, engines glowing with defiance. The galaxy did not yet understand that the Quiet Ones were not hiding. They were holding back. And the moment they were forced to speak, the galaxy would remember why their silence had lasted so long. Despite the Council's warning, Admiral Threx could not let go of what he had seen or what he hadn't. The silence of Earth haunted him. Every night aboard Varn's Glory, he replayed the recordings. The human voice that spoke without emotion, the instant systems failure, the sudden relocation of an entire fleet. To him, it wasn't just mystery. It was humiliation. He was determined to end it. Under the pretense of a scientific operation, Threx assembled a new task force. 20 ships, mostly from his own dominion, with only minimal oversight from the Coalition. He called it a research mission to Mars, claiming it was safer to study the outer planet first. But everyone aboard knew the truth. Threx was going back to Sol, and this time he wouldn't be leaving empty-handed. The fleet entered Sol space cautiously, avoiding direct approach toward Earth. Mars lay before them, red, barren, and quiet. Its thin atmosphere shimmered faintly against the sun. The surface seemed dead, untouched for ages. "Deploy probes," Threx ordered. "Map every sector." Drones descended through the Martian sky, kicking up red dust as they scanned the planet's surface. At first they found nothing but rocks, craters, and frozen plains. Then one probe detected something impossible: geometric structures beneath the ground. "Sir," said Captain Urel, her voice shaking, "we're reading tunnels, vast networks stretching for hundreds of kilometers. Metallic composition. These aren't natural formations." Threx's eyes narrowed. "How old?" "Thousands of years. Maybe tens of thousands." The Admiral leaned closer to the screen, watching the images as the drones drilled deeper. Slowly, the dust cleared, revealing a buried city, ancient and colossal, carved directly into the red rock. Spires, domes, and strange symbols covered every wall. The architecture was unmistakably human. "Impossible," Urel whispered. "Humans didn't have interplanetary technology that far back." Threx said nothing. He watched as the camera on one drone descended through a massive doorway into darkness. Then the feed flickered. A shadow moved. Something was alive down there. "Drone 1, confirm movement," an operator said. No response. The signal crackled, then cut out completely. Another drone followed. The same result, static, then silence. Within minutes, all contact was lost. "Something's jamming us," Urel said, turning to Threx. "It's coming from below the surface." "Prepare a landing team," Threx ordered. "I'm going down there myself." The crew hesitated. "Sir, that's not wise. We don't know what's down there." "That's why we're going," Threx replied coldly. "Activate drop pods." Moments later, several pods streaked through the Martian sky, slamming into the red desert near the coordinates. Dust clouds rose like waves as Threx and his team stepped out, their armor glinting under the pale sunlight. The air was thin, but their suits compensated. Around them stretched endless dunes, and one enormous black structure half buried in sand. The team approached cautiously. The entrance loomed like a mouth carved into stone, ancient runes glowing faintly around it. As they stepped inside, the air grew colder. Their lights flickered against smooth metallic walls etched with patterns that pulsed faintly, like veins beneath skin. "Record everything," Threx said. They descended a long corridor until they reached a vast chamber. In the center stood a tall humanoid figure, perfectly preserved, made of metal and bone. Its eyes were closed, but its presence felt alive. Beneath it, lines of unknown script ran across the floor, glowing red. "What is this?" Urel whispered. Threx approached the statue, raising his scanner. "It's a human," he said slowly, "but not like the ones we know." Suddenly, the lights in the chamber dimmed. A deep hum vibrated through the ground. The statue's eyes snapped open, blazing with white light. The walls shifted, sealing every exit. The team raised their weapons, but before they could react, a voice echoed all around them, low, calm, human. "You came uninvited," Urel froze. "It's the same voice from before," Threx shouted. "We mean no harm." "Identify yourself." The voice ignored him. "You woke them. You do not understand what you've done." "Who are you?" Threx demanded. "What is this place?" The lights pulsed brighter, filling the room with blinding energy. The statue began to move, slow and deliberate. Its joints creaked like thunder. "We are the silence," the voice said. "We are the memory of what you forgot. Get us out of here!" Someone screamed. The ground shook violently. The floor beneath them cracked, revealing molten light deep below. Alarms blared through every comm system in the fleet orbiting above. "Admiral Threx, what's happening down there?" Threx tried to reply, but his signal was swallowed by static. The team scrambled toward the corridor, but the walls rippled, forming solid barriers. The hum turned into a roar. One soldier fired his plasma rifle at the wall. The beam vanished, absorbed like water into sand. "Sir, readings are spiking," Urel yelled. "Something's building power underground." Thrax's breathing quickened. "Emergency recall, now!" The ship in orbit tried to lock onto their beacons, but the signal kept shifting. Then, through the clouds of red dust, a blinding flash erupted from the Martian surface, a shock wave expanding outward, rippling through the atmosphere. On Vaughn's glory, alarm screamed as the planet below turned into a glowing wound of energy. "Admiral's team lost," shouted the comms officer. "We've lost the entire landing zone." Before the crew could react, their own systems began to fail. The fleet's engines powered down one after another. A voice echoed through every ship simultaneously. Calm, cold, human. "You came uninvited. You woke the sleepers. Leave this system." Then, nothing. When the static cleared, Mars was quiet again. The glow faded. No wreckage, no signal, just smooth red dust where the fleet had been scanning moments before. 20 ships gone. Back on Vera Prime, when the report reached the Council, chaos broke out once more. No explanation. No survivors, no proof. Just another warning. And far beneath Earth's surface, in the hidden core, the human council watched it all unfold on silent screens. The grey-haired woman leaned forward. "They found the vault," she said softly. Her aide swallowed hard. "Do we activate containment?" She shook her head. "No, they've already been warned." The AI Sentinel's voice rose quietly in the dark. "The sleepers will not rest again." For the first time in centuries, even the humans seemed uncertain of what they had unleashed. Weeks passed after the Mars disaster, but the fear didn't fade. Across the galaxy, rumors spread like fire. Some said the humans had unleashed ancient weapons. Others believed Mars had been a testing ground, a warning, not an attack. No one knew the truth. But everyone agreed on one thing. No one wanted to go near Sol again. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, a special session was called, the largest in 1,000 years. Hundreds of species gathered, their holograms filling the massive chamber. Voices clashed, echoing through the air. "The humans are dangerous," shouted one. "They destroyed 20 ships without lifting a finger," cried another. At the center of the hall stood the Speaker of the Council, an old and wise being named Orin. "Enough," he said calmly. "We cannot act on fear. We must understand. But how?" Asked Admiral Velik of the Zaan Dominion. "Every probe we send is destroyed. Every ship we dispatch vanishes. We are blind in their system." Orin turned slowly. "Then we wait," he said. "Because if they wanted us dead, we would not be here." Silence fell. Those words carried truth none could deny. Humanity, whatever it was, had chosen not to strike. That somehow was more frightening. On the far side of the galaxy, aboard the exploration vessel Helion Star, a lone signal analyst named Lyra John worked the late shift. She was young, curious, and tired of the endless panic. While most of the crew slept, she scrolled through the latest data feeds from deep space sensors. Then she noticed something strange, a signal, faint but constant, coming from the edge of known space. At first she thought it was a glitch, but the pattern was too deliberate, rhythmic, mathematical. It repeated every 33 seconds. When she ran it through translation algorithms, the message was short, only 3 words. "We are listening." Her heart froze. She checked the coordinates. Deep space, far beyond any human system. It made no sense. She called her captain immediately. Within hours, the Council was notified. Every major power analyzed the signal, but its origin remained impossible to trace. It wasn't being sent, and it was echoing, as if it were bouncing through time itself. Scientists, linguists, and military officers worked day and night. Finally, one researcher cracked the structure of the signal and uncovered something chilling. Hidden beneath the 3 words was a second layer, a complex encryption signature. When decrypted, it revealed an image, a star map. And at the center of that map wasn't Earth. It was every homeworld of the major species, one by one marked in perfect precision, as if someone had catalogued them all. "Who would send this?" Orin whispered, as he looked at the projection. No one answered. Meanwhile on Earth, deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, the secret human council convened once again in the core. The grey-haired woman, known only as the director, stared at the holographic map floating before her. "They received the first wave," she said. "Mars was not meant for them." The AI Sentinel's voice replied, calm and precise. "The Mars vault was not ours to open. The sleepers acted independently. Their awakening has changed the timeline." The director frowned. "Can they be contained?" "Who are you?" the captain shouted. "We are humanity, but not as you remember." Static crackled. The image shifted, now showing a colossal structure floating in the void. Unlike anything the galaxy had seen, It wasn't a ship. It was a machine, miles wide, pulsing with energy, surrounded by fragments of what looked like planets. "You wish to understand why we never spoke first," the voice continued. "Because silence kept you safe." The transmission ended. The crew sat in silence, trembling. The captain turned to Lyra. "Record that," he said softly. "Send it to the council." But before she could respond, the stars outside the viewport began to distort, twisting and warping like liquid glass. Their instruments went haywire. A wormhole, vast and silent, opened before them. From within, light poured out, cold and white. And in that light, shapes moved. Human shapes. Back in the core, alarms blared. "Director," the AI warned, "they've breached containment." The director closed her eyes. Then it begins. The galaxy burned with fear. Every communication line buzzed with one word: humans. The council had lost control. Entire species began building weapons, raising fleets, preparing for war. They no longer sought understanding. They wanted safety. They wanted humanity gone. On the world of Karth Prime, the war assembly of the Coalition gathered in a storm of voices. "They are a threat," shouted General Krell of the Drak Union. "They destroyed our ships on Mars." They sent a message through time. Others agreed, pounding their tables with metallic fists. "We cannot wait for them to strike first." The speaker, Oren, tried to calm them. "We must not provoke what we do not comprehend." But the council ignored him. Fear had won. Within hours, the greatest armada in recorded history began forming. 2,000 warships, 500 dreadnoughts, hundreds of millions of soldiers. Their destination, Sol System. Meanwhile, on Earth, the director of the Corps stood before a vast holographic globe showing the solar system. Human defense networks activated silently. No speeches, no panic. Only preparation. In the deep bunkers beneath the Atlantic, the AI sentinel whispered, "They come." The director nodded. "Then we remind them why we swore silence." Across the moon, massive metallic panels opened, revealing ancient defense satellites. They were not new weapons, they were old, too old, machines from the last great galactic war. They hummed to life, their surfaces glowing with blue light. Out in space, Admiral Threx's fleet reached the edge of Sol. "Prepare for engagement," he ordered, though his voice trembled. The stars around them seemed wrong. Space itself rippled, like water disturbed by something massive. "Admiral," shouted his navigator. "Sensors detect multiple unknown signatures around the system." "They're everywhere," Threx leaned forward. "Identify them." The navigator's voice cracked. "They're not ships, sir. They're echoes." Before he could respond, his display filled with human transmission code. A single sentence scrolled across every screen. "Turn back. Final warning." But the Coalition ignored it. They launched a full strike toward Mars, expecting resistance. None came. Their scanners showed only empty ruins. No human fleets. No weapons, nothing. Then the stars flickered. One by one, the alien ships began losing power. Systems went offline. Communications failed. The fleet's massive energy reactors dimmed like candles in the wind. Admiral Threx shouted, "What's happening?" His engineer's voice came through, terrified. "Something's rewriting our code. It's everywhere. It's inside our systems." Then over every radio, a calm human voice spoke. "You wanted a response. Here it is." All at once, the void around Mars shimmered. Dozens, no hundreds of dark shapes appeared, massive human constructs hidden beneath cloaking fields. They weren't sleek or elegant like Coalition ships. They were brutal, scarred, forged for survival. Each bore markings older than the Coalition itself. And they didn't attack. Not at first. They broadcast images instead, memories. The fleets of old, the war that ended eons ago, planets torn apart, stars collapsed by weapons too terrible to name. It was humanity's first empire, the one erased from history, the one that vowed never to speak first again. Then came the final image, the ancient pact, a council of human leaders, standing over the ashes of worlds, swearing an oath. "We will never begin another war, but should war find us again, we will end it." The message ended and the weapons came alive. Every human ship opened fire, not with missiles or lasers, but with pure energy fields, bending gravity and tearing through space itself. Coalition ships crumbled instantly, erased by invisible waves. Time slowed. Light bent. For those who survived, there was no sound, only silence and terror. Admiral Threx watched his fleet die. "Cease fire!" he screamed, but his voice was lost in static. His ship cracked apart as invisible forces tore it in half. Across the galaxy, communication lines went dark. Entire systems went offline as ancient human code infected their networks. The same 3 words appeared everywhere. "We warned you." Hours later, the war was over. No human ships pursued the retreating remnants. The Coalition's mighty armada destroyed in under an hour. In the silence that followed, the human broadcast returned one last time. "We did not want war. You made us remember. You asked why we never spoke first. Because our words are the last thing anyone hears. Then nothing." The transmission vanished. Every human vessel disappeared from radar, cloaked once more. Sol system went dark, completely sealed from the galaxy. On the Council world, Orin stood alone in the empty chamber, watching static on the screens. "They could have destroyed us all," he whispered. "Why didn't they?" From behind him, Lyra John, the signal analyst who had first discovered the message, answered quietly. "Because this wasn't war," she said. This was a reminder. Orin turned to her. "Of what?" She met his gaze. "Of mercy." Far away on Earth, the director stood in the core, surrounded by silent machines. The AI Sentinel's voice returned. "They will not forget again." The director looked up at the glowing ceiling, her face unreadable. "Good," she said softly. "Neither will we." Outside, Earth's defenses powered down. The stars shimmered peacefully once more. The war that should never have happened was over, but the silence that followed was deeper than ever.